Hey everybody, welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. So today we're going to talk about a property that's up in Colfax County in the northern part of the state. This is really close to the Angel Fire Resort. I will tell you that I have been reluctant to make a video about this. Typically I don't need to make videos about these properties. I've listed about 5 in this particular area. They have all sold in a week or 2 weeks. This particular property, however, has been on the site now for a couple months. So I figured I'd make a video, kind of walk you guys through what I think are some of the selling points of the property and why I think it is an enviable purchase. Anywho, with all of that said, the video that's up top here right now is a drone video of the property. This is going to be replaced by the video you're watching right now of me talking. So the drone video will be dropped down to the bottom of the page. If you want to see this, it'll give you an excellent sense of the property, the surroundings, the terrain out there. I'd encourage you to scroll all the way down, bottom of the page. You'll be able to watch that. All right. With all that said, let's get to it. So this particular property is FXNM 2959. It is 2.84 acres and it sits in the Valley of the Utes subdivision, the Utes. And if you click on the GPS coordinates here, it will bring it up on the Google Maps. So first off, this particular 2.84 acre property sits right here off of this Elk Meadow Road or lane or whatever it is exactly. And if we zoom out a little bit, you will see that this property is in really close proximity to the Angel Fire Resort up here. It is also in fairly close proximity to the neighboring ski resorts over here in the Taos Ski Valley. So the property is ideal for anybody who likes skiing, for everybody who likes being in a place where it's going to snow a lot throughout the year, where you're going to have those kind of picturesque vistas. This property sits within the shadows of the Sangre De Cristo Mountains, so it's a really, really picturesque area. Now, more to the point, one of the big selling points of this is that this whole area that you're seeing right here outlined on the map, and probably more of it going to the east here, it's part of this Angel Fire Resort's HOA. Now, as a dues-paying member of the HOA, you have a lot of great amenities. The first is that there's power all throughout the subdivision. First of all, Valley of the Utes is one subdivision within here, but there's multiple subdivisions within this HOA. Point being, you have underground utilities, you have power, you also have water lines in the area, which tells me that it's going to be a lot easier to get water to a subject property. Of course, I am not an engineer. I don't know exactly how that works, but I do know when there are water lines in the area, it's easier. By the by, some of these water lines that you'll see in the area, and if I go down to the photo gallery here, you can see there's fire hydrants throughout the region. There's fire hydrants throughout the region, I believe, because there's a bit of a fire risk in forested areas like this. So the HOA likes to make sure that they have fire hydrants throughout. They also have a lot of no smoking signs out there, just to make sure that brush fires don't occur and things like that don't happen. So the HOA is maintaining the area vigilantly, we'll say. Anyway, back to the map for a second. So aside from the fact that you have underground utilities and these water lines and you have access to those sorts of things, you also have year-round access to the Angel Fire Resort. Now, HOA dues for this place, I believe, are around $2,400 a year, so say $200 a month. So what that buys you is not only access to the resort when it's, so you can enjoy the ski slopes when it's snowing, but you can also enjoy the tennis courts and the golf course during the months when it's not, as well as this little body of water down here is the Monte Verde Lake, and I believe this is maintained by the resort itself. So you've got a lot of great access to fishing, to the fishing that's out here. Simultaneously, this is just, it's in an area that is great sort of outdoor area, a lot of great, outdoor activities. Up here is the Eagle Nest Lake State Park. They've got a lot of great boating and water sports. You're also in really close proximity to the Carson National Forest, as well as the Cimarron Canyon, where you can do a lot of great mountain biking. Now, let me just say this. Everything that I just mentioned as far as features, as far as points of interest in this area, are all outlined here within this table. So if you start clicking on these links, you can better read up on, better study what the Angel Fire Ski Resort is like, as well as some of the lakes that I just mentioned, and then of course things to do in nearby Taos, etc. While we're on this page, I just want to show you guys, down here in the photo gallery, we have pictures of the Angel Fire Resort. Now, of course, these were taken during the, 2 months a year when there wasn't snow on the ground. So use your imagination because it'll look a lot better. But the point is that this is these are some photos of what the resort itself looks like and what you would have access to out here. Obviously, this is one of the sort of world-class skiing destinations within the U.S., so it's a nice resort. Furthermore, I just want to show you guys this. So a lot of times when you're dealing with an HOA, calls that I will get will be like, what can I build out there? What can I build? What kind of restrictions does the HOA have on building? So on and so forth. Now, up here in our, let me just go back to the listing page for a second. Up here in this gallery, we have things like the CCRs that govern this area, the covenants and restrictions that govern the area. We have the HOA declarations, we have the HOA bylaws, we have the HOA rules and regulations. We have supplied all of those for you so you can do some reading up on essentially what you can and cannot do out here. Now, the larger point of this is if it's your goal to like, hey, I'm going to go park an RV and live out of it, well, you're probably not going to be able to do that out there. They govern against things like that. They have rules against that sort of thing. But if your goal is, hey, I want to build a house, what kind of house can I build out there? I'm just providing this picture here in the gallery to give you a sense of, you know, generally when there's an HOA, they want a sort of aesthetic uniformity, we'll call it. So if you look at what's out there, it's a lot of houses like this. So that should give you a sense of, you know, I think that an HOA will make up a lot of rules that if you're building something this nice, they're not going to care if it's, you know, more square footage or less square footage than what they have dictated in their whatever, in their CCRs or their bylaws. But this gives you a sense of what you're going to build out there. I think this property is ideal for, number one, is an investment property. I'll get back to that in a second. But also just as a place where if you're going to build a retirement home or you've just made your first $1 million and you want to build like a really nice property, you want to be in one of the most picturesque areas of New Mexico, in the shadows of the Sangre De Cristo Mountains, this is a great place to build. You know, when I talk about investment property, I think it's also good as a you know, just build a house, Airbnb it out for, you know, the next however many years, and use it just as a sort of passive stream of income like that. But point being, showing you a picture of a house here just to give you a sense of what kind of homes are out there and what, you know, the HOA kind of wants to see in the area, we'll call it. And let me just quickly say this because sometimes people will ask these questions. This down here is a picture of the property. This is from the property. All these photos in the gallery after the house are from the property. Occasionally, we will show something like pictures of the resort or pictures of the house or whatever is local to the property. And people will call me and say, is the house on the property? And in my mind, I'm like, it's $19,000. Who sells a house for $19,000? But then I have to politely explain, no, the house is not on the property. The house is somewhere adjacent to the property. I'm just showing it as an example of yada, yada, yada. And perhaps you're saying, Hemingway land, who would be foolish enough to call and ask that question? To which I would tell you, you would be surprised. Anywho, here we go. So back to this. As you can see from the photos, by the way, this is some of the utilities that are within the area or some, you know, access you have to these utilities. You will also notice, this I think is just quaint. I just want to point this out. This is lot 83, and it's numbered. It has a little sign here, lot 83. All right, so by the by, if any of you guys want to go out and scout this property, I would encourage you to do that. This is a not insignificant sum of money. How do we do that? How do we scout this property? Well, you can eyeball it here on the map. It'll give you a sense of how to get out there. Or the easier thing to do, just bring this listing page up on your smartphone, click on the GPS coordinates, and your smartphone should give you turn-by-turn directions out there. Or, hang on, clicked on the wrong thing. Or, just click the directions button right here, enter whatever your start point is. Maybe it's the resort, maybe you're staying at the resort for the weekend, or it's your home nearby. You'll get turn-by-turn directions down here that you can print out, take with you. But the point being, the property sits off Elk Meadow Road. And if the photos in the photo gallery don't do it for you, then we encourage you to go out there and take a look at it yourself. I just want to show you guys one thing that I got here. After we bought this property, I got a letter from the HOA sort of welcoming us to the property. So it's a welcome letter plus a newsletter, and I'm including this here, this little PDF attachment. If you click on this, you'll be able to see this. I'm including this mostly because a lot of people will call me and say, how do I know you own this property? And then I have to explain how you would know that. This should do it. This is pretty good proof, right? I don't know. Whatever the case, I'm also showing you this because down here at the bottom, there's a phone number that's included for the HOA. If you have questions about what you can and cannot do out there, or just, you know, rules and bylaws about the thing, I mean, we've supplied the links right here. But it might be a good idea to reach out to these people directly, give them a call at this number, and just sort of ask them whatever questions that you have. They will ultimately be a better source for that sort of information than we would be here at Hemingway Land. Anyway, furthermore, if you scroll down through this, you'll also be able to see a copy of the winter newsletter that went out, and you'll be able to see some of the things that the HOA sponsors and what kind of activities they have up there, as well as welcome new members. And then you'll notice down here, Mountain West Ventures LLC is listed in this thing, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's us. Anywho, but if you go through this some more, you'll be able to just read this and see, you know, it seems like a very charming community where they organize a lot of community events and they have a lot to offer out there aside from the year-round access to the resort, which in itself to me is the major selling point. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Aside from all that, let's get to why I think this is a good investment property. If you go to, let's say, a site like Land and Farm, and you start searching for properties within Colfax County itself, let's just narrow down acres from, let's say, 1.5 to 5 acres. Searching. And now let's sort by price lowest first. It really takes its time, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got the 2.84 acres down here for $19,000. I'll show you that there's a 2.2 acre property for $15,000. That, however, is in a different part of the county. I would tell you prices there are a lot lower on a price per acre basis. And you've got, since when we listed this, we were the cheapest. If you look at this 1.5 acres, I mean, it's one whole acre less, but it's, fairly competitive. And here's 1.7 acres is also fairly competitive. But what you'll see is the vast majority of properties in this sort of 3 acre range, or even less, are priced at a whole lot more. Here's an Angel Fire property, 3.5 for $30,000, 1.7 acres for $38,000, 2.3 for $36,000. The prices tend to be all over 3 acres for $40,000. They don't graduate in a sort of logical fashion, but overall you can see that $19,000 for close to 3 acres is a crazy good deal out here in Colfax County. So that's another one of the reasons why I believe this is a great investment property. So maybe you just buy it and you sit on it for a couple of years and resell it, or buy it and try to resell it 6 months from now for the prices that these realtors are listing for. Either way, I think it'll work for you. Anywho, all right, if you're looking to purchase this property, all you have to do, come up here, click on the Buy Now button. It's going to bring up a secure checkout form. I pretty much assume that anybody who's buying a property like this is going to want to close through a title company. Even if you didn't, I would encourage you to. That being said, we ask for a $1,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit to show that you're serious. Once we see the money hit our account, what we're going to do is we're going to write up a sale purchase agreement. You sign it, we sign it, we send it over to the title company, and they will begin the process. And essentially, the property will not be deeded, we will not get the money for the property until it is deeded into your name. And the title company will handle all of the funding and all of the deed recording, etc. But we ask for $1,000 down just to sort of prove that we have a buyer who's serious about it, as we are going to delist the property and not sell it to anyone else. By the by, I just mentioned about contracts. If you come up here to how it works, buying from us, you can read more about the process that I'm encouraging here. Properties over $10,000, or just anybody who wants to close through a title company, this is how the process would work. But over here you have a link to a contract that you can view. This is basically our standard one-page agreement with 1 page for signatures. It's going to be essentially this that you're asked to sign. Obviously, we'll tailor it to the specific property. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I hope this was informative. If you guys like this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell so you'll be alerted when new property videos premiere. This is Hemingway Land signing off. See you guys in the next video.